Good morning, children. Welcome back. Today we are discussing the assignment-based video module for the last week of January. Today we would be discussing about the life process, some questions from respiration and also from transportation that belongs to the chapter life process. Okay. So we can understand that we have already completed nutrition and a part of respiration, and there are some questions related to respiration. First question is this: mention the common step in all types of respiration. The common step for all types of respiration, particularly aerobic and anaerobic respiration, is the glycolysis. The glycolysis is a process whereby 6 molecule glucose break down into 2 molecules of 3 carbon pyruvic acid with the release of some amount of energy. So this process is called glycolysis, and it is the common step for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Glycolysis, in which glucose, 6 carbon molecule glucose break down into 2 carbon molecule, 2 molecules of 3 carbon pyruvic acid. So you got that idea. Now the second question: show a schematic representation of breakdown of glucose by various pathways. This is one of the most important questions from this part of the chapter, respiration. In the previous examination, this question asked to depict the chemistry of respiration. Okay, so we can understand that respiration, the first step you have to write glucose anomark breakdown into pyruvic acid. 6 molecules of glucose. Okay. Glucose breakdown into pyruvic acid. Now pyruvic acid enter in 3 directions. The first direction is in east. In east, the pyruvic acid undergoes breakdown in the absence of oxygen and form ethanol and carbon dioxide and some amount of energy in the absence of oxygen. That is called fermentation. In the second step, we can write the pyruvic acid enter the muscle cells. In muscle cells, the pyruvic acid anaerobically, in the absence of oxygen, break down into lactic acid and some amount of energy. Okay. Now, in the third most important step, the pyruvic acid enter into mitochondria. Pyruvic acid enter into mitochondria, and that pyruvic acid completely break down into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So, in this third step in mitochondria, the largest amount of energy is released. That is around 24 ATP molecules are released from this, mitochondria. So these are the 3 important points you have to remember. Okay. So the glucose undergoes glycolysis to form pyruvic acid and energy. Now pyruvic acid enter 3 destinations. Okay. First one is yeast. In yeast fermentation, you can see ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Second, the pyruvic acid in muscle cells, it undergoes anaerobic respiration in the absence of oxygen and form lactic acid, carbon dioxide. Then last, the pyruvic acid enter into mitochondria and completely break down. Pyruvic acid undergoes complete breakdown into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So we have to understand that. That is what is called a thematic representation of the breakdown of glucose by various pathways. Now third question: what are the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration? We have already discussed about it. Aerobic respiration is the respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen and complete breakdown of glucose, releasing more energy. Okay. Aerobic respiration is a major respiration in most of the plants and animals, higher plants and animals. Whereas anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen, and it is the incomplete breakdown of glucose and release very less amount of energy. So we have to understand that. Now, fourth question, write down the composition of blood. We are coming to transportation. In transportation, we will be studying briefly about the composition of the blood. Blood and why it is called a fluid connective tissue, and what is the role of blood in transport of respiratory gases. You know, blood is called fluid connective tissue because the major part of the blood is made up of, plasma. Plasma constitute around 70 to 80 percentage of the blood, and the 90 percentage of the plasma is water. Okay, since the blood consists of water, more water in it in the form of plasma, the blood is called fluid connective tissue. And also it connects various organs, various tissues together. For example, the remaining part of the blood is blood cells. There are three types of blood cells, RBC, WBC, platelets. Now, what are the function of blood in the form of, transport of respiratory gases? Around 97% of the oxygen is transported. Around 97% of oxygen is transported in the form of RBC. RBC contains hemoglobin. Hemoglobin combines with oxygen and form oxyhemoglobin. So we can say the 97% of oxygen is transported by hemoglobin in the form of oxyhemoglobin. Whereas plasma transport some remaining percentage of oxygen. Carbon dioxide is transported in the form of carboxyhemoglobin by hemoglobin, and most of the carbon dioxide transport as bicarbonate in the water, dissolved form in water in plasma. So we can understand that carbon dioxide is transported mainly as bicarbonate in dissolved form in water in plasma, whereas small amount of carbon dioxide, around 3% of carbon dioxide is transported as carboxyhemoglobin. Okay, hemoglobin is main transporting material of oxygen. Okay, right. Now we are coming to the fifth question. What is the Head-Bob diagram, and explain the structure of human heart? We have already studied the structure. I have already drawn the diagram of human heart, and you can see the diagram. So the heart, four-chambered muscular sac-like, muscular bag-like structure. Muscular bag-like structure. Okay, and it is situated in between the lungs, just above the diaphragm. And this heart is made up of cardiac muscles. So the heart is called myogenic heart, not neurogenic. It is called myogenic heart because the heart is made up of cardiac muscles. And the whole heart is covered by pericardium, a membrane surrounding the heart. Heart has four chambers. The upper two chambers are left and right auricle, we can say atrium. And the lower two chambers are ventricles, right and left ventricles. This right side, we can say right atrium and right ventricle, left side, left atrium, left ventricle, which are separated by a septum or cross wall. Hence, the right and left sides of the heart has no contact. Right? This separation of the right and left side of the heart helps in prevention of the mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. The separation of the right and left side of the heart prevents the mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Okay, you know that. And You know, to the right atrium, vena cava bring the blood. Vena cava is the largest vein in our body that bring the deoxygenated blood from all body parts to the right atrium. Then to the left atrium we can see pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood from the lungs. Okay. To the right atrium, to the right ventricle, you can see the pulmonary artery, which is the only artery that carry the deoxygenated blood. Pulmonary artery, pump the blood from the right ventricle. Pulmonary artery carry the deoxygenated blood into the lungs for purification. And you can see the left ventricle, but aorta pump the blood, oxygenated blood. In between the right atrium and the right ventricle, there is tricuspid valve. And between the left atrium and the left ventricle, you can see bicuspid valve. This valve, particularly tricuspid and bicuspid valve, prevent the backflow of the blood. When the ventricle pump the blood, the tricuspid valve and the bicuspid valve close the ventricle. Okay, so that the blood from the ventricle cannot flow back to the organs. Blood cannot flow back to the organs. So we can understand that. Okay, that is the major structural features of the heart. What is advantage of having separation of right and left sides of the heart when in mammals and birds? Mammals and birds, there is a need of constant supply of energy. Constant need of energy to maintain the body temperature. The birds and mammals need more energy to maintain a constant body temperature. For that, the heart of the birds and mammals, the right and left sides get separated, and it prevents the mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Then, because of this separation, because this oxygenated and deoxygenated blood does not mix, then what? It increases the efficiency of oxygen supply to the cells. It increases the efficiency of oxygen supply to the cells, so that more oxygen is available in the cells to release energy. That's all. Now, seventh and last question: how is the circulation of blood in fish, amphibians and reptiles different from both birds and mammals? In fishes, the blood is pumped from the heart. Fishes have a two-chambered heart. Okay, fishes have a two-chambered heart. The blood is pumped from the heart and directly goes to the gills. In the gills, the blood gets mixed with the oxygen and directly go to the various body parts. From the gills, the blood directly, after mixing with the oxygen, blood directly goes to the various body parts. And again that blood without oxygen comes to the heart. The heart again pumps the blood to the gills. So in this way, the blood flows in only one direction. That is called a single circulation in fishes. Whereas in amphibians and reptiles, they have three-chambered heart, two auricles and one ventricle. Because of having only one ventricle, they tolerate some mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. They tolerate some mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. In most of the reptiles, all amphibians have three-chambered heart, and remaining most of the reptiles also have three-chambered heart. So here also we can say incomplete double circulation. In fishes and amphibians, in amphibians and reptiles we can say incomplete double circulation. Okay, incomplete double circulation. Whereas in the case of birds and mammals, we can say complete double circulation. Birds and mammals, there is complete double circulation in which blood flows only blood flows in two directions, in the left hand side and right hand side. So this type of blood flows in two times during a single cardiac cycle. This is called